Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today's project is going to be this Futura 101. And I bought this reel off of eBay because it just was such an unusual looking spincast reel. And I saw the button on the back of this thing and said, well, how in the world do they make that thing work? I didn't understand. I understood the principle of it, but I didn't know what they had done to make that lever. I was visualizing a lever inside that kind of flex back and forth. I just had all kinds of different visual pictures in my brain about how they had done it. And I just wanted to see for myself what it was. And it turns out the mechanism itself is very simplistic. So let's go ahead and let's get this thing taken apart, and we're going to service it today. Look at the paint on this thing. I don't know what this pebbly finish is that they put on here. It reminds me of what they put on the damn quick reels. And it's very, very solid. There's no chips hardly at all, except just right at the very edge right here. That's the only chips I see in the whole thing. And it's a very nice little spin cast reel. So I'm happy to add it to my collection. Look how dirty it is inside. We're going to scrub this thing up and clean it up. Okay, we take the cover off. We're going to take this nut off. Of the rotor, or at least that's the plan. You guys hear me say that a lot. I say, yeah, we're going to do this, and then it turns out, well, let's see what it is we're actually going to do. Okay, so we take the nut off of the rotor, and let's pull that off. It's kind of dirty, but overall, oh, that's not bad inside at all. That's really nice. Okay, and aside from having a really, really old line on this thing, it seems to be a nice little reel. Let's see if this will come off in any way, shape, or fashion. So far, I don't see what it's going to take. Okay. Maybe there's a release inside that allows its spool to come off because it's not pulling out. All right, let's go ahead and take the handle off. Now, this reel is made in the USA. I've never heard of the Futura company before. So I don't know if it was, made for some other company, but I've never seen another reel like this. So I saw it on eBay and I decided, well, why not? Let's give this one a shot. My favorite screwdriver's in the other room where I was playing with another reel last night. So we'll use this one instead. Okay, I'll remove these two screws. And I believe this side cover will now come off, and it does. Okay, that's pretty simple inside. Now, if you look at our axle shaft goes straight through the sidewall here, or back wall. And it comes in and out. But as to what activates it, there's nothing showing here whatsoever. So let's go ahead and take out the screw in the back of this and see if we can see what kind of mechanism is used to operate this. Okay, there's the screw out. There is the button out. Well, if that ain't just something. Okay, the way this works, it's nothing more than 2 ramps. When the button's in the middle position, this pin comes all the way to the center. As it comes out and you push down on one side, it will push it out and up, like so. And that pushes the button in. That's all there is to it. In my mind, I never visualized it. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, it allows you to be able to push the button from either side, but for the life of me, I can't see why that would be a useful thing to do, except that it looks different. And maybe it got people to purchase it because it was just looked different. So, okay, let's see what we got over here, see what we need to do to take the main gear out. The main gear looks like it might press out on this sidewall. There we go. There. Okay, the whole thing slides out the side. All right. The anti-reverse is working. Okay, now there's nothing you can do to remove this anti-reverse. This is staked in. Okay, it's just a pin that they've driven down, flared it out on the other side, and that's it. It doesn't do anything more than that. Okay, the spring for it wraps around here. Okay, we're going to try to take out this main gear. Okay, now when I did that, notice that that gear popped over. That means that when we go to put this back, what we've got to do is we've got to get that to go back to the other side and hold it there while we put the gear in. Once we do that, then we can put it back in and it's good to go again. But we'll have to reset that. And it is all-time anti-reverse. There is no on-off for it. All right, there's the main gear out. There's the side plate out. A little bit of cleaning there, and that'll be good to go. Okay, have we seen anything yet that allows us to take this out? I don't see anything. Okay, so let's go ahead and operate the drag. See if that loosened or tightened that main shaft any. Okay, let's go the other way. See if that loosened or tightened it up. Okay, let's see if I'm missing a C-clip here somewhere. Well, first off, let's see if this will come out. Okay, the axle shaft will come out. If you look, it's held in place here by a C-clip right there. And I believe that we can get a hold of that C-clip. That's not going to work. So let's try this pair of needle nose vice grips. See if I can get hold of it with those. There we go. C-clip out, like so. With that out, we should be able to pull the axle shaft out. Now let's be careful so that we see what order things come out in. There's our spring. Here is the pinion gear, and then there's our axle shaft. Okay, and nothing else in there. Okay, we still haven't figured a way to take this out. And we are getting pretty close to the point where we stop and say, do no harm. It may be that the spool is pressed on, and if that's the case, then it's going to stay on because it's not coming off. But is it drag adjustable? Okay, let's grab hold of the line. Okay, that's pretty tight that way. Let's go the other way. Now it's really tight. Okay, so the drag is adjustable. So we're not going to worry about it. I would like to be able to get in there and lubricate that drag, but I don't want to break a perfectly good reel because I want to lubricate a drag to keep it from breaking. That doesn't make any sense. So what we're going to do is I'm going to strip this line off of here. We're going to clean all these parts, which are really clean to begin with. There is a skip when we're winding this, and I believe it's just due to dirt being inside this gear. So we're going to clean up the gear. We're going to clean up the pinion gear and inspect it. Yeah, see these really hard chunks of grease down in here. We're going to clean all those out of there. And I may need to go in and pick those out with a straight pin to get all that grease out of there because it's old and hard, and that's probably what's causing the skip. All right, I'll be back in a few minutes with all the parts cleaned and scrubbed and ready to go back together. Okay, I don't know if you can see it or not. If you look at this gear, this is a pinion gear. Everything looks perfect on it. Here we go. Keep going. We're almost around. till you get right there to that tooth. All right, see that tooth right there? This tooth right here is bent. Now one end of it, this end over here, seems to still be in alignment. This end over here is out of alignment just slightly. But that's just enough to cause it to hiccup. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to install this gear back in there with the bent portion of this away from where the gear, the main gear rides. So if it goes in like this, that would be bad. So we'll take it and we'll flip it over like so. Now when the main gear is in, it will ride in the proper place where everything is properly aligned, and it should eliminate the skip on this. Now if it doesn't, then there's nothing else I can do. There's no way to acquire another pinion gear for this that I can think of. I mean, who ever heard of the Futura 101? The rest of these teeth here appear to be in excellent condition all the way through. I don't see any damage anywhere. They all seem to be good. So when we put it back together, we want to make sure that pinion gear, I got to look at how that's going to ride in there. And we will see which way we want that to be. All right. All right. I've got this installed back in here. Now, I went ahead and put the main gear in to see how it was going to ride against this gear. And it turns out I really need that other piece, the bent piece, to be to the front and have this straight piece that's not bent out of whack to the rear. So I swear it all looks fine. There we go. And let's see how this rides. All right, we've got no skip going on at all. All right, so that's the way we're going to install that. Oh. All right, because the gear is going to ride here, or on the back side of this, we want to flip this around this way, like this. Nope, I got it backwards. These two are closer together, so we got to go this way. There we go. It's really hard to see. It's not like there's that much of a difference. Right there. All right, so we're going to sit this down facing the direction that we want to put it in. We're going to come back here. We're going to put oil on the axle shaft. And put a little bit of oil down in the hole for the axle shaft. And let's set the axle shaft back into the case, like so. Now, if you stick it in all the way that far, you can't get the gear back on, right? So let's go ahead and drop it out some, right about there. That'll be fine, like so. And let's go ahead and put the gear on in the direction that we want it to go on. Bring it up. I can get it to go onto the square shoulder of the axle shaft. All right, there's two ways to put this spring on, the right way and the wrong way. There's a small end of the spring and a large end of the spring. You want to put the large end of the spring down towards the pinion gear. Once it slides down, it will actually slip over the square shoulder down here. If you don't have it on right, it won't go over that shoulder and it will not function properly. So we're going to hold that in place. We're going to go ahead, clip your E-clip in, release it, make sure it's on. There you go. And there you have your axle shaft reinstalled. Now you want to come back and you want to put grease on your pinion gear and on your axle shaft. Now you don't need large quantities, but you need enough to be able to lubricate it as the button's coming in and as the gear rotates. Here we go. Set that to the side. Now we're going to assemble the side case here. What we're going to do is we're going to oil the crankshaft portion of the main gear. And we're going to grab hold of the anti-reverse and slide it over here out of the way. And then slide the main gear back in. Now you see that your anti-reverse is working properly. Let's go ahead and put grease on the teeth of the gear. Now, there's no need to put any grease on the middle of the gear because nothing's going to be riding in there. All it will do is sit around and collect dust and dirt. Once we've done that, we're going to slide this back in and slide it all the way up on here, like so. We're going to take our Futura 100 side case cover, slip it on. All right. Now, this button is still functional. We need to put just a little bit of grease right there on the shaft where it's going to slide in and out, and it gets a little bit on the very tip of it because that has to fit into this V channel right here. It's going to go into here like this. And then we're going to put our screw back in. Now, before you tighten this down all the way, since this button does pivot on the screw, go ahead and give it a shot of oil. All right, there we go. We're going to add a little bit of grease here to our spinner head or rotor, depending on whose terminology you're using. If you're out in the Zebco world, it's a spinner head. Most of the rest of the world calls it a rotor. We're going to put a little grease right there at the end, and we're going to put a little oil at the front side up here. Got to exercise it a few times and slip it back on. It's got a flat spot on the screw. Make sure to line that flat spot up with the flat spot on your rotor. Okay, that in place. Go ahead and tighten your rotor nut. Now what should be happening is when you flip the button here, the rotor should come up and lock into place with the buttons out, button in. Sorry, this is for casting mode. And then when you rotate the handle, the rotor comes down, the button comes out, and it's ready to wind in line. And that skip that it had at the beginning is nowhere to be found. Okay, smooth as glass. Let's put the let's go ahead and get the line out of it, a little piece of it. And I didn't take it all off because I wanted to be able to test the drag. There we go. This line has got so much memory in it that I can't hardly get it to go straight long enough to go through the hole. Yes, it's getting all new line. But I wanted to be able to test the drag once it was back together, especially since we couldn't work on the drag. There you go. There's the drag. Can it be tightened down? Oh, yeah. And there you have the Futura 101 dual button spin cast reel. Wish I had the original documentation for this thing. I'm thinking it probably came from the late 50s, maybe early 60s. It's like they wanted to put fins on a fishing reel like they put fins on a car. And but it's a nice reel, very well engineered, and it's in excellent condition considering its age. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, by all means hit the dislike button and tell me what it is you didn't like about it. If you'd like to see further videos like this, hit the subscribe button. I went for a period with virtually no subscribers for a while, and then yesterday I think I had like 4 or 5 bump in and subscribe all at once. So I'm happy to have you guys along for the ride. And those of you who've been watching my fishing exploits, saw my big catfish. It didn't come out on my fishing video. I think I'm going to edit a quick little one and stick it on there. But that's going to be my last fishing video for a while because my truck is down. So I can't take my boat. And my truck will be going in the shop next Tuesday, but that shop has 47 vehicles in front of mine. So it's going to need a new starter. And on a Nissan Titan, the starter is under the intake manifold, and I'm not willing to partake of that. So I'll wait. I should be back up and fishing in 2 weeks, and I hope you guys come along with me. For now, that's Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels, signing out.